listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people positivity. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive reinforcement of original people and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast, and I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. So, hey everybody, this is a Narrative Podcast first. I've never done a broadcast on a Monday. So, starting the week off right, just coming off Saturday-ish. I started recording on Saturday evening, but didn't get the segment uploaded till early Sunday morning. So it was Saturday-ish. So I guess technically it was Sunday. So, back to back. I tried not to do broadcasts back to back. But anyway, I want to make my presence more pronounced during the weekday. But welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Got kind of a good show for you this evening. A lot going on in the the world of sports. Our brothers and sisters out here in Paris killing it for the Olympics, for the 2024 Olympics. Everybody's doing a great job, especially Noah Lyles. Our sisters Sha'Carri Richardson and Simone Biles setting some, just breaking records every time you turn on the TV. Now, I myself personally don't partake in the Olympics. I don't watch it. I mean, I couldn't get into it, but this year it's like you can't not get excited about, all the records that they're breaking and not feel some type of pride, because America, the air quotes, land of opportunity, our people is repping the hardest for, the United States of America. And, unfortunately, we don't get a whole lot of liberties afforded to us, but we carrying the American team on our backs right now. And setting the world ablaze while doing it. But shout out to all them for all the records that they're breaking right now, all the medals that they're winning, all the barriers they're breaking. But anyway, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. So how, for people unfamiliar with me and my platform, the way I do things is I give you a brief overview of the podcast before diving into the content. Then that way you're better familiarized with what I'm going to be presenting to you this evening and what to expect and future uploads, and just so you're up to speed on everything. For newcomers, for my regular listeners, my narrators, they already know the demonstration. But for the newbies, I'm going to walk you through with a quick overview of the podcast before diving into the content. So here we go, starting at the top. Tippy, the name. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast, as I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original people culture. And so what I want to do to counter the media's intentional misrepresentation of our people and our culture is to design a platform where I'm playing up our strengths and pretty much highlighting and showcasing us at our best instead of at our worst like the media does. So basically the purpose of the Narrative podcast is to uplift and edify our people by means of positive reinforcement for everything that we're doing right in the world, and then also to bring awareness to how we're being misrepresented in the media, how our images and our likenesses are being distorted and propagated to push a false narrative about our people. So, I'm bringing awareness, and then I'm also trying to, encourage the listening audience to responsibly utilize their platforms to share positive content about our people and our culture. And then also, of course, to inform and entertain as well. So having said that, I think that's the perfect segue for my tagline for my podcast. The Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, hence the title, The Narrative Podcast. All right. So one of the first misnomers about my podcast you should be aware of, I refer to my target listening audience as my narrators. And the reason why I refer to my target listening audience as my narrators is just really to acknowledge the times that we're living in. These days we're living in the digital information age, and we all gather, collect data online as well as share information online, and essentially tell or narrate our own stories. Pretty much all digital platforms has a bio section. Whatever you're on, whether it be, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X, used to be formerly Twitter, whatever medium you're on, whatever digital medium you're on, there's like a bio section where you give people that visit your page a brief introduction of yourself. You're telling everybody your hobbies, your interests, your turn-ons, your turn-offs. And then that way people get a brief snippet of who you are as an individual. And, and then from there they make the conscious choice on how to engage you and what to expect when they view your content on your page. And then usually when people are making out their bio section, they try to, give the best representation of themselves. And then they upload content to kind of, enhance their bio section of making themselves the best possible version of themselves, or whatever, imagery they're trying to represent on their page. They want to showcase and highlight they're living their best life. If it's an intellectual page, they're uploading all type of intellectual content. They're telling you what type of books they like to read. Going to like in intellectual circles, the type of conversations you'll most likely hear from them, and the types of books they like to read, and all that sort of thing. If it's sports, they're uploading their favorite teams. Maybe even telling you they used to play, team sports when in their early academic days in school. Or if, the person's in the DIY projects, they're showcasing and highlighting their DIY skills, do-it-yourself skills, if they're a hobbyist, building things, collecting things, whatever the concept is. People try to these days put out the best representation of themselves. Some people, overdo it a little bit. The hip-hop generation causes capping. They try to make their life seem more luxurious and glamorous than what it really is. But point being, they put out the best representation of themselves. They tell or narrate their own stories. And then that's why I refer to my target listening audience as my narrators, because I believe as a people we should be telling or narrating our own stories. We should be giving the world the best possible representation of us as a people as possible, because the media puts out this false narrative about our people and our culture. And it's not just the media, how we're perceived negatively. It's in movies, it's in television shows, it's in advertisements, it's in did I already say music? Well, I'll say music again, because music has a dynamic impact. The sounds and frequencies you listen to go right to your cerebral cortex. So it's very impactful and very influential. And if you're hearing negative sounds, you're going to react to and respond to the negative sound in a negative way. There's been several artists, to openly speak about the 808 frequency and what that does. And that's the type of frequency they use in hip hop. And the rhymes that usually is rhymed over top of the 808 beat are negative. And it's intentionally done. The record label knows what they're doing. But yeah, all sorts of other mediums where we're portrayed in a negative light. So, movies, all, forms of entertainment. They portray us like it's violent, overly boisterous, overly loud, lazy, rude, degenerate in nature. Just, over the top. The way they portray us, they want to criminalize men. They want to show us, not being present in the home as fathers, criminalistic by nature, and always engaging in some type of criminal activity, like, selling drugs or, indulging in consuming drugs, alcohol, having no respect for ourselves, no respect for our women, and then also with the women, they want to make them angry, or want to make them look like whores. They're either angry or they're whorish in nature, are overly, got a bad attitude, angry all the time. that's what they want to portray for our women. So, that's why it's important to control the narrative, or tell or narrate our own stories. Because if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this. If you don't tell your own story will be told for you. And currently our own stories are being told for us by the media, and it's a sad, negative story about our people and our culture. So we got to change that. While we can't control how people outside of our culture perceive us as, how they react to us, how they interact with us or respond to us, we can't control the types of messages that we're putting out. So we need to always be putting out the message that aligns up with our true nature. And what is our true nature? Our true nature is kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. That's, the type of, content we need to be trying to put out. Us triumphing in the face of adversity, us doing for self, us being involved in our community, involved in our children's life, respecting our elders, respecting ourselves, carrying ourselves with decorum and dignity and pride. That's the narrative that we should always be portrayed as. But yeah, that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators, because that's the type of story we need to always be telling. We also need to be making ourselves the stars of our own platforms. People doing positive things in the community. It doesn't have to be, about celebrity or something that's going on in the media. Put positive stories out about yourself. Your accomplishments in life. Whether it's excelling at the job, if you're working a 9-to-5 job. Any type of advocacy or activism you're involved in, or just being that good friend, being that good family member, being that good mentor, or just being a good listener. Whatever your strength is, that's what you need to be playing up online. And of course in real life, of course too, but that's just how people engage you these days, is just based on the type of content that you're posting online. Next thing you should know about the Narrative Podcast is this is a positive, safe space for original people. I'm just here to uplift and edify my people and encourage my people to use their platforms to uplift and edify and, progress our culture with positive content. So I don't engage in any gossip and slander and name calling and, none of that. Anything negative, I refrain from it and try to encourage my listening audience to refrain from it as well, because I believe gossip and slander is what's hindering and destroying our community. So I don't want to be a part of that in any way. And I encourage, the listening audience not to be a part of that in any way as well. So, this is, a positive thing I'm doing here. This is a positive space for original people. I get to the original part a little bit later, where I refer to our people as original people. But yeah, so essentially this is just all positive vibes here. I don't do any name calling, finger pointing, blaming, slandering of any kind when it comes to our people and our culture. I'm only putting out positive frames of reference. Moreover, if I ever do I do, however, speak about current events. I do commentary on whatever is trending in the media, whether it be something globally, something nationally, or something happening just specifically within our community. I speak about that, and it's usually, unfortunately, like if I ever bring up a famous person's name within our community, like a celebrity, it's not the clout chase, it's not to try to hop on the algorithm train. It's just basically kind of to illustrate a point, and how all the points that I try to frame up and illustrate on my podcast is like, yes, we have negative things going on within our community. We have our own in-house issues like every other culture does. Things we need to work on as a people. But at the core of it, like when anything negative is happening in our community, it's almost a 90% chance you can trace it back to systemic programming and conditioning. We've been systemically programmed and conditioned to behave in a negative way. We've been programmed and conditioned to respond to each other in a negative way, to view ourselves in a negative way. With all these negative frames of reference that keep on getting put out about us, you can't unsee it, you can't unhear it. Sure, you can, if you're a positive person, you can always keep a positive mindset and choose, how you feel about things. That is a valid point, but also we cannot ignore as a people that we've been psychologically traumatized and programmed and conditioned to move a certain way. And, we have, a whole lot of trauma, a whole lot of cultural trauma, and we have like PTSD and a whole lot of very sensitive emotional triggers, and a whole lot of things sets us off and triggers us because it's been implanted and embedded into our psyches by the powers that should not be. They've been experimenting on us for years. So that's how I really try to frame it up when anything negative is happening within our community, because you can almost close to 100% trace it back to systemic programming and conditioning. As a matter of fact, the only time I will really call somebody out is if somebody in our community is intentionally, playing up these negative stereotypes and stigmas that the media places over us for monetary gain, where they're just intentionally, making us all look foolish on their platforms and making a fool out of themselves, and in turn making a fool out of ourselves as well as a people. I will call said individual out, because this is I should like to think this is a platform, a place of truth. I don't do no lying on here. So yeah, other than that, it's a totally positive space. Good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Next, this is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast, and the main reason is because I'm an audio platform. You can't see me, you can't look at me in my face. So I want you attentive and paying attention to the content that I'm delivering. Basically, I don't want to bore my listening audience to sleep. So I try to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. That way it cuts down on me rambling and ranting and going down rabbit holes. I just want to, hit all my speaking points. Have really clear, concise points, and have a cohesive feel to my content, and not shoot over at anybody's head, and I don't want to leave anybody out of the conversation. Make sure I'm accommodating all intellect levels, and at the same time not dumbing myself down, and also, to keep it light. Because like I said, I don't want to bore you to sleep. I don't want to make it super serious. I want to kind of sort of inform you. Well, I want to inform you, but then I kind of sort of want to entertain you as well. And so that's why I try to keep it as short as possible. I don't try to get too long-winded on anything. Which brings me to my final point. I refer to our people as original people on this platform, as opposed to black or African American or Negro or, whatever terminology is used to describe our people. I refer to our people as original people for two main reasons. The first reason being it's historically accurate. We were and are the first beings to inhabit this planet. We was here before every other person in the world, and we inhabited every single corner of the globe. We wasn't just all huddled in one spot. We was everywhere. So if it just scientifically makes sense. If we was here first, of course we was everywhere first. We wasn't just in just one spot. We was here first. We inhabited the 7 continents on the globe. We was on all 7 of them. Everywhere. We was even in the North and South Pole first. Which brings me to a sub point that I want to tack on to that. The historical reason why I refer to our people as original people, being that we were original people, there seems to be a false narrative that keeps on getting pushed by the powers that should not be, is that they have this little unique way of trying to make slavery the most definitive part of our existence. And as I just said, we was here before everybody. Being here before everybody, of course, we was on every, square inch of this planet, of this plane, for the people that don't believe in round Earth. Who was here first? So, having said that, just from the scientific standpoint, if we was here first, it naturally makes sense that we was everywhere first. We didn't get to all these places on slave boats, especially here in the Americas. While some of us did come over here on slave boats from Africa, the majority of us, we was already here. Well, but the ones here got enslaved. The ones in all the Spanish-speaking nations, along the course, the chattel slavery routes, they were already there too. They try to just perpetuate this false narrative that they just kept going for hundreds of years to Africa, transporting slaves, from Africa. They even got little handwritten or hand-drawn illustrations that try to help them push that false narrative. They want to embed that image into our psyches, and have people like in chains, like, got the little dog collars on them, and they was, in the lower deck, stacked up on top of each other when ships, they had ships, not like these big galleons Like the Vikings, they wasn't sailing in those. They were sailing in modest little ships in early times. So they didn't even hold over 100 people. The ships could barely even hold over 100 people. So where do y'all get? They was taking thousands of people from Africa on a ship. On a boat, pardon me. They said slave boats. There wasn't, But anyway, I don't want me to get too, long-winded. I'm just trying to point out the insanity and the lunacy of, them teaching us in school that we all, every single last one of us, descended from, slavery. We had a whole entire existence before the transatlantic slave trade. We were rulers. It makes more sense, don't you think, that the colonizers enslaved the indigenous people of each land that they visited instead of going to one source to get slaves? Just food for thought. I just got to dispel that false narrative that they keep on trying to weave about, chattel slavery and slavery in general. It was brutal. It was barbaric. It did happen. But, the time span they tell lies about, like how long it went on as far as them going back and forth to Africa getting slaves, the route that they took, that's an exaggeration. And it could all be proved. It could all be fact checked. Most of the explorers, they had journals. They talked about, the original people of each land, and they described them as black. But, there's all kinds of evidence to support that. Since y'all don't want to believe black people when they say stuff, a whole lot of white scholars have written things, cited work that can be fact-checked about it. But anyway, which brings me to my next point of why I refer to our people as original people on this platform. The second reason why I refer to our people as original people on this platform as opposed to black is to unify us as a people, because we're so diverse, we're so, different. We hail from so many different land masses, nationalities, and speak different languages, but we got a few common things in common. A few things we got in common. We can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all civilization. And then we can also, have in common that we all have high concentrations of carbon, aka melanin, and we of course have unspoken bonds, even though we all speak different languages, pray, believe in different spiritual practices and religions and whatever. We all have an unspoken bond, like we can all relate to each other on an unspoken level. Like, when we see something within our culture, like, yes, it's like that over here too for us, and we can all just connect. We all have an unspoken bond as well. So that's why I refer to our people as original people on the unity side of it, just trying to unite us as a people. When I refer to us as original people, because no matter what you refer to yourself as, we was here first. We're all original. And so now that you're pretty much acquainted with all the nuances of the Narrative Podcast, I'm going to dive right on into the content. This is a weekday edition, so essentially I only have two sections. I have two different formats. I have a weekend format and a weekday format. And the weekday format differs because I have fewer sections during the weekday section. Essentially, I have two. So the reason I have two is just because I'm staying true to my mission statement for my platform, which is to provide positive frames of reference. And the positive frames of reference that I usually give you during the weekday come in the form of positive news articles. And the reason why I do that is because we're constantly being bombarded with negative news all week long. You know, they're just saying negative things. We're getting unalived or carried off to jail for engaging in some type of criminal mischief. Or engaged in some type of lewd, crude, immoral act, you know. So it's like I said, it's intentionally done. It's a form of psychological warfare when the media just keeps on feeding us negative imagery. You know, our subconscious minds pick up on that and accept it as reality, and we normalize, you know, things that should not be normal, which is how they intended it. You know, they do it for a reason. It's intentional. So to counter that, on my platform, I provide positive news articles. They just show you, you know, or tell you rather, since I'm an audio platform, that we're triumphing in the face of adversity, that we're progressing as a people. We're leading in academia. We're excelling in, you know, pretty much all areas of life, finance, you know, doing things, positive things in our community and positive things that impact the world. And, you know, just basically the opposite of the way the media tries to portray us, which is like, you know, ignorant, violent, lazy, and just, you know, degenerate by nature. So that's why I share the positive news articles. And then after my news articles, I deliver commentary about, you know, whatever's happening in the world. And the reason why I do that is just basically to, you know, break down whatever's happening in the world from our perspective, because the media go out of its way to have us all looking and sounding, you know, all types of crazy. So, you know, like I said earlier, if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. So that's the purpose of me delivering commentary on what's happening in the world, is just basically to tell our story, because the media is telling our story from a warped, jaded perception. So now, without any further ado, I'm going to dive on into these positive news articles this week for this weekday edition of the Narrative Podcast. For my very first article, the headline reads, 27-year-old black mom of four makes history, acquires third restaurant franchise, and the sister's name is Aaliyah Smith. That's not like the singer. She spells hers A-L, two E's, A-H. And the two franchises she has acquired is the Peach Cobbler Factory and Ricketts world famous Chicago style restaurant. South Side location for the Ricketts. I couldn't find too much information on Ricketts, so most of it's going to be for her, franchise, her franchise ownership for the Peach Cobbler Factory. So her story basically starts out at a very young age. She's originally from Lansing, Michigan. And she has been a business owner since the age of 14. She had her own catering business. She did it from 14 all the way up to age 25. She stopped because life started lifing. She met somebody, got married, had a family, and then attended Michigan State University. The article did not say whether she graduated or not, but I'm pretty sure I think she has a LinkedIn. So you can hit her up on LinkedIn to see everything, within that time span that she opened up that she acquired ownership of the Peach Cobbler Factory. I gotta honestly say I never heard of the Peach Cobbler Factory until, I read that article. But she acquired it in 2022. And she owns 2 locations. One in Dalton, Georgia, store 785 at Sugar Road, Suite 9B, Georgia 30720, and the telephone number is 706-529-8575, and then also the Fayetteville, Georgia location, 100 Banks Crossing, Fayetteville, Georgia 30214, telephone number 1-404-779-0194. And for more of her story, you can follow her at Aaliyah Leah on IG, and her name is spelled Aleeah, Leah Leeah on IG. And then of course you can go to peachcobblerfactory.com to view their menus and everything they got going on with that franchise. And like I said, it didn't say anywhere in the article which franchise of Ricketts that she owns. It just says that's her newest endeavor, is owning her own Ricketts world famous Chicago style restaurant franchise. It didn't say what side of town, which one, like store 180. I don't know. It didn't say that in the article. But anyway, that's still pretty impressive. Let's put them together for our sister Leah Smith and the Peach Cobbler Factory. All right, so like I said, keeping it short and sweet to the night. Short and sweet. This one's super short and sweet. It didn't have a whole lot of information on it, but I guess it's pretty self-explanatory. Next positive news article in this weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast. The headline reads, Mother and daughter duo create wellness brand to educate and empower women of color to live healthier lifestyles. I hate that phrase, women of color. Like, I don't know, it just kind of irks me. I feel like original is better. But anyway, So the mother and daughter's duo is Alina Nord. I believe I'm pronouncing the last name right. Norde. And Charlene Nord. And Charlene is the mother and Elena is the daughter. And the name of their business is Gen STEM. And you can go visit the site at www.genstem.co. Not com, .co. So their bio is extremely long. So on here, like I said, to keep my time limit I set for myself, I just really kind of try to take bulleted points. But you can go to that site and view their entire story, how they started out, why they started the company. They do a whole lot of positive things for the community. They have a lot of, health and wellness tips on there. How the best way to use the product. They got support groups. So it's a whole lifestyle. You're not just buying product on there. You're buying the whole, lifestyle. Health is wealth type deal. They got an actual whole community. So they care about people buying their product. They want them to, live their best life. It's even a little bit of financial literacy on there as well. A little bit of digital literacy, but they're basically trying to use it as a tool to, help our people live a more prosperous life. A whole lot of holistic health on there. And the name of the company is Gen STEM. So essentially, the business was started because the daughter had, severe health problems, and the mother, noted those problems, and she used pretty much holistic medicine to kind of help her daughter become better. And that's essentially how the company was born. But like I said, their complete story is listed on the website. You can read it for yourself. Go to www.genstem.co. And let's give our sisters, the Nord, mother and daughter duo, Alina and Charlene Nord, a warm Narrator podcast round of applause for their business, Gen STEM. All right, next article on the Narrator podcast, the headline reads, newly revised book teaches black students how to create generational wealth in racist America. Wow. That title grabbed me up immediately. I'm going to definitely check that out. But the name of the book is called Get Rich While Black Without Being an Athlete, Entertainer, or Drug Dealer. And it's by a brother goes by the name of Chuck Starks. The book is designed to help close the wealth gap by giving out financial literacy tips. Breaks it down very practical, gives practical real world examples of how to build generational wealth. It's available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. All major book realtors, like you could probably find it at Barnes and Nobles and all that good junk. If you want to ask specific questions, you can contact Mr. Starks at 916-206-2483, or email them directly at Scalando, SACLANDO, at AOL.com. So, like I said, super brief to the point. Join me in giving this brother a warm narrative podcast round of applause for his dynamic book to help create generational wealth, get rich while black without being an athlete, entertainer, or drug dealer. All right, moving right along. Last article of this evening on this weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast. The headline reads, 11-year-old black entrepreneur launches exciting STEM toy line in Whole Foods Market. And the young lady's name happens to be a Miss Ava Ann Simmons, who goes by the illustrious title STEM Princess. And STEM is an acronym. It stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. Her story is a very unique one because she wasn't always the super genius. She was clinically diagnosed with having reading disorder. It didn't say what the reading disorder was, but basically she, got diagnosed with saying she didn't know how to read. She was illiterate or didn't read well. I am going to go off on a brief tangent. This is primarily why we need our own schools, because, if they ain't going to treat you right, they definitely ain't going to teach you right. And, unfortunately, when in public school systems, when we're not teaching our own, what they'll tend to do is they play a little game and try to isolate our youth and make them think something's wrong with them. They'll put them in special needs. And it's a big game, really, because they give themselves raises. They get more, tax write-offs and get equipment for the schools. But they're just use our children to do it. And any educator will tell you, that's what they do in the public school system to our youth. Unfortunately, if they can, they just it's either that or just not teaching what they really need to know in life, and try to break their spirits and discourage them from wanting to excel and wanting to achieve. Now, I'm not saying all of them are like that, because there has been a whole lot of very successful people in the world that, their mentor, that got them on the path to doing whatever it is, for their claim of fame. They happen to be a white educator. They had a white, educator mentor. That'd be the exception to the rule. But for the most part, they try to break our children's spirits and try to basically say something's wrong with them and nothing's wrong with them, and stick that label on them, and that label follows them all through life until they disprove. They got to spend the majority of their life trying to prove that they're not what the teachers said they was. But anyway, in the case of this young lady, she definitely triumphed in the face of adversity. She became interested in STEM, and became, her mission to unlock their latent potential. STEM is a very lucrative business. So once you get past the mathematics part of it, the engineering, it's pretty. A person can earn upwards to 5 to 6 figures a year doing STEM in a STEM job, or even like, you can have STEM as a side hustle, STEM research. STEM researchers get paid a whole lot of money. So she came a long way. She's a North Carolina native. She invented a movement called Team Genius Squad. She has her own website. She got 2 websites. One is her personal website, telling you everything she got going on, the books that she's written, all of her tour dates. She does actual in-person experiments for STEM cell, or not stem cell, pardon me, STEM experiments, scientific type experiments, does like live stuff like that. She also has an accessory shop, lab coats, goggles, gloves, for the experiments. And then, her Team Genius Squad, that has a website, teamgeniussquad.com. Also, tells more about her movement, what she's trying to do. That's more of like a non-profit organization, kind of telling, all the people she's trying to help with the message, and getting children her age and interested in STEM. So go check either of those 2 out. Also look for her book, Ava Discovers Her Inner Genius Using STEM. Then she got coloring books as well, and activity books, and actual lab experiment books. So super fun. She sells STEM kits and STEM toys. I think the avasimmons.com, that's going to you want to go there to see what Whole Food markets carry her product. But be on the lookout the next time you're at Whole Foods. Pick up one of her kits at Whole Foods for your any young person in your family. It doesn't have to be just female, because please believe it or not, guys are in the STEM too. Young men are in the STEM as well. So any young person could definitely enjoy it. I had the most fun when I was young. I had a chemistry set. I did a couple projects. I think I made I had a little I had all that, the test tubes, the microscope, and what else did I have, all the joints. I had all that scientific type stuff. I don't know about you, I'm a Gen Xer. Mr. Wizard used to be the stuff on TV. We used to have shows like that. And I guess the 90s kids, y'all had Bill Nye. But yeah, go check it out. Genius Squad, or avasimmons.com. Give a warm Narrator Podcast round of applause for our young sister Ava N. Simmons and the Genius Squad movement for STEM. And next time you go to a Whole Foods, be looking out for her STEM kits. All right, so got a couple things to address this evening. This is my last section. And this section is my speaking current event section. I refer to as my speaking points. I got 2 speaking points I want to address this evening before wrapping it up on this weekday edition of the Narrative Podcast. So some breaking news. Seems a brother before I even go into this, I'm just going to point out a prediction that I already had. So if you've been listening to me, ever since the Sandra Massey thing started, Sonia Massey, I don't know why I want to keep on saying Sandra, because I'm thinking about our sister Sandra Bland, I guess, but ever since the Sonia Massey thing, I've been saying it and been saying it. You know, the call has went out. And we're going to see a whole lot of, from now to the end of, all the way up to whoever gets elected, we're going to see a whole lot of violence against our people. From now until, whoever wins the election, and then probably a few months afterward. But which brings me to some breaking news. So this just happened like less than a day ago. It's still kind of going viral on TikTok. A brother down in Nevada, Virginia City to be exact, has been going viral on TikTok because he was being harassed by some local, what appears to be Trump supporters in that area. They all had red caps on in the video. I don't think it was MAGA caps, but it was giving redneck vibes. They was giving redneck vibes, and they was basically taunting the brother. It didn't escalate to violence, but it was going there. Because one of the gentlemen in the video had, inadvertently said, pointed, that's a hanging tree, which sent, like I said, we all have, because of slavery, we have emotional triggers. So, that you don't ever say that to an original person, especially a freeman here in America. That's the last thing you ever want to say. Talking about a hanging tree. So, in the video, the brother pretty much goes off, and they're just, they're unfazed, they're unbothered, they're definitely unapologetic, they're laughing at him, essentially trying to tell him he's making a fool out of himself and it wasn't that deep. And they were just like proud of not liking him for being a brother. Like, it was unapologetic about it. It just basically like, in the video there was like, well, yeah, I did say it, and what you gonna do? And so that's the mood right now. From now to the end of the election, that's the mode. We're going to see more and more of that, in these coming months building up to the election. There's going to be instances like that with that gentleman. And then we're going to be seeing Karens, more Karens on the rise, being nosy, asserting themselves where they shouldn't be. And then, unfortunately, you're going to be having violence from, the police department. They're going to be we're going to see an influx of law enforcement unlawfully accosting original people. We're going to see law enforcement. We're going to see we're going to get, I'd say about 4 to 5 more unalivings caught on camera, either on the cell phone camera or the police's body cam, of original men and women before election. We're going to get I would estimate close to a dozen before election time. And the reason why they do that, because again, like I said, the call done went out for those that don't believe white. I don't call them white supremacists. I call them white delusionists, because they're not, supreme to anyone. These white delusionists are coming out to play. And most of them are from the Democratic Party, but they're going to try to masquerade as Trump supporters. And again, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I don't care. I don't give a damn about the election. I don't give a damn about Republican or Democrat. The whole voting process, that's my stance on it. If you're into voting, make them earn your vote, whatever you choose to cast your ballot as. But they're all in the same gang. They don't mean our people well. They're co-conspirators. They all have the same goal. It doesn't matter who wins, we lose. So, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, that political rabbit hole, vote for who you want to vote for. But I'm just saying, that's the play. Democrats are going to be trying to pin it on the Trump supporters. And then there are some cowardly Trump supporters. They stay quiet. They've been quiet for 4 years, but now he's running again. Now they want to get about it. Now they want to get lit. You ain't said nothing the whole time he was out of office. And now all of a sudden you got courage. So, the person that made it viral, user Uncle Ricky 1, that's how it went viral on TikTok. But the brother's name is Dayon Jackson, Dayone Jackson. And it happened in Virginia City, Nevada, pardon me. It's still breaking news, so it's still a whole lot to unpack. But, essentially that's what happened. They pretty much approached him with a racial trope, talking about some, that's the hanging tree or whatever. That's not something to be taken lightly. When, an older white person says that to you, because, they're usually probably from that era where that was a normal thing to see. As a matter of fact, that's the origins of the word picnic. They used to actually, there was a time in America where they would actually pack a basket lunch and watch a lynching. And picnic is short for pick a N-word to hang. That's the origin story of how picnics came to be. They used to get out of school, get off work, take off work early to see, a young brother or a sister hanging from a tree in the middle of the city, like, you know, the busiest part of the city. And so, you know, history does not, can and will repeat itself. Can and does repeat itself. So that definitely could have happened there. Now, I didn't see the brother. He was on the cell phone, but I don't think any of those older Caucasian men there could have took him in a fist fight. You know, they all had beer bellies and out of shape. And, you know, they was just like really just like super secure in their white privilege. And like, yeah, I said it. What you gonna do? Yeah, you're hilarious. I find it hilarious that you're angry about what I said. Yeah, I must keep saying it. You know, he just had this real, as a matter of fact, energy to him. He said it like real matter of factly. And everybody that passed by was laughing like, yeah, and you have a problem because... Why is that offensive? So yeah, I don't really got too much more to say about it. That's my prediction. It's going to happen several more times before the election. You know, the primary elections conclude in November. You know, whoever, like I said, whoever's the president, our people's going to lose. We got two people with, you know, nothing on the table for us. All right, so which brings me to my next topic. There's a brother online catching a lot of hate. By the name, he's a content creator by the name of Brandon Tatum. And so he basically did a video where he's saying the police was justified in unaliving our sister, Sonya Tatum. Or excuse me, like, you know, I'm all messed up. Sonya Massey, my apologies, Sonya Massey. It's hard not to get emotional when you hear this, when you hear somebody speaking like that. He was ex-law enforcement, tactical unit, SWAT. And he's, you know, pretty much on his platform defending or rationalizing. He wasn't defending. So this is where the hate part comes in. He was like rationalizing their actions from a former police officer's standpoint. But it's a split, you know, it's kind of a split because there's a whole lot of former police officers that's black that's infuriated by the police officers, you know, how he handled that, how both of those, you know, police officers handled that, said that's not protocol, that's not what they're trying to do, and then, you know, here comes this dude. Now, a whole lot of people's calling him Uncle Tom, Uncle Coon, Uncle Ruckus, and this, that, and the third. And, you know, I get the hate. I'm not too, you know, I can't see myself liking a person like that. But here's the thing, we have to take emotion out of it. And unfortunately, our people, it's real easy to tug our heartstrings and we get emotional about a lot of things, and we look at things from the emotional standpoint instead of being more strategic. And a whole lot of things that happens to our people within our community is that we get overly emotional. We let our emotions override us. And so, said all that to say, even though I don't like what he said, I don't like how, he seemed to be like really nonchalant about the unaliving of our sister. His tone, his mannerisms, that make me very upset. Emotionally, I don't really care nothing for him at this point, like everybody else. But from the legal, black and white, what's on paper, and this is going to be the uphill battle, what was captured on the body cam and what the law says about that. Now, the pot of boiling water wasn't a weapon. The pot wasn't a weapon. The boiling water was a weapon. And then, here's the part where y'all don't like me after I say this. When the police officers body footage cam, when it was released, she did throw the pot of boiling water at him, and he opened fire. Now, should he have opened fire, all he had to do was move. Now, there also is a law where you says you gotta meet force with equal force. So, was the boiling water equivalent to a bullet? And that's what they gotta prove in court. And that's really kind of all he's really saying. He's saying like, yeah, but legally that's going to be their legal defense. As a police officer, that counts as deadly force. We might not like it, but that is a law. That counts as deadly force. And that's what they have to prove in court. Was the police officer justified? And like when you're watching this content, if you take the emotions out, just turn your emotions off and listen to what he's saying. He's saying like the way the court of law, tried by the jury of peers, the people that don't look like us. So I don't know how the hell they're our peers, but how they're going to perceive it. So yes, our sister did have mental health issues. She's was afraid of the police. So she got severe mental health issues. White people are afraid of us anyway. And some people who are mentally distraught, they are overly strong. They're like, there's some people out there that got mental health issues. They do possess paranormal strength, if you will. Like people that got like psychological problems, they like super strong. I don't believe that was the case in this case, of course, but there's a whole lot of people online trying to clout chase and have the opposing view. And like I said, when Candace Owens said what she said, there's people in our community that's going to have an opposing view, and we can't get emotional when they come out with their opposing view. They're there for a reason. They're there to stir up controversy. They're there to get us distracted from the issues, from pressing relevant issues, try to work us up, try to get us angry. That's what they're there for. To tug at our emotions, to get us angry, to distract us from things we need to be focusing on. And they do it for the money. They hoard themselves for the money. There's just people like that within our community. They will say anything for money, do anything for money. And the impression I get from this brother is that he's one of them. Why he created that channel, because he's getting all that, essentially free publicity. Like everybody wants him on his show, on their show to, speak about his opposing view. And he gets all kinds of clicks from it, goes viral, and you know the deal. He's going to come out with a tell-all book eventually, and from his time on the force, and he's probably going to write it from the perspective of, our people being the problem. But said all that to say, we shouldn't get so emotionally wrapped up when people like him come out and voice their opinion. Keyword opinion. Opinions is not a fact. That's just, he's calling it how he sees it from, his perspective of being a former law enforcement officer. Now, like I said, on the flip side of it, there are dozens of people in our community that are law enforcement officers and say, no, they was completely in the wrong, and that shouldn't have went down. That's not right, and no matter how you slice it. So said all that to say we shouldn't be getting worked up about this dude and his opposing view. And like it or not, she was in that moment a threat. So he told her, if you throw that effing water on me, I'm going to shoot you in the effing face. And what did she do? She threw the water on him. She did. It was on the body cam. People don't want to take their emotions out of it, but she did. The water didn't hit him, obviously. And it still wasn't an excuse to shoot her multiple times in the face, a kill shot, and be that insensitive with her dead body, her lifeless, unalive body on the ground, her corpse. It's sad. I really feel afraid for our people in our community that do have severe mental health issues, because we're seen as less than human. Like, we can't have mental health episodes. Like, police are not sensitive at all when dealing with people who are in our community that have severe mental health issues. There was an instance a while ago, I think right before, it was right before or right after the pandemic. There was this white lady going through the crowd calling people, anybody, N-word, hard R. Just walking up to random people saying the N-word, hard R. Just calling them, no matter, even if they wasn't black or original. She was calling them that, and a few people was giving her the business, but when that happens, just turn the other cheek. Severe mental health issues, don't even, ignore her. And then there was another incident, where a lady was in Target, and she was screaming at the top of her lungs, I hate N-words, hard R, I hate N-words. I wish they were all dead, and if I didn't, if I thought I can unalive one of them without going to jail, I would. and she got tackled and she started screaming, like somebody was doing something to her. Oh, I'll stop it. I'll leave if you let me go. I'll leave if you let me go. But just like, the playing field is not level when it comes to our people and mental health issues in law enforcement. Like, we don't get to have mental health episodes, and they're the ones that's causing the mental health episodes. For instance, like the case with Elijah McClain. You can look at him and tell something wasn't not right with him. And I'm not trying to be funny about the brother, but you can look at him and tell something wasn't right with him. He had, and that's another thing that brings me to my next point. They pick on people, within our community that got something wrong with them to mess with them. The police do, and people out there are not law enforcement. Like, remember he was I think it was ex-military or ex-law enforcement, going a little further back, where he was messing with this autistic brother. He was just walking down the block, and he's pushing them, telling them, trying to ask them, like they just moved in that neighborhood, and he started trying to bully the brother, like, look at him and tell something was wrong with him, but he got all overly aggressive. These cowards, they got a history of messing with people within our community with severe mental health issues. And they're the ones that cause the severe mental health issues. Like, you don't even want to call the police. Like, when they get behind you, you immediately start getting nervous when you're in the car and they start driving all slow behind you. Like, you don't know what's fitting to happen. You don't know if it's going to be a routine stop or what. I seen a sister had did a TikTok, and she broke down, had a serious fit. She said she was shaking. She was like, the police officer actually helped her. I think something was wrong with the car or something. She was shaking, telling the story. She just said, but I was just so scared when he got behind me. So these are the people that's supposed to serve and protect us. Not receptive to our problems, our needs, but we're supposed to trust them. So like I said, it's going to get to a point where it's going to be us versus them. Because the problem is, a whole lot of them don't deserve to be police officers. It doesn't take a real high IQ to be a police officer, first and foremost, in law enforcement. And a whole lot of them that join the force are weenies in real life, like all through, they got psychological problems, got bullied and chumped out in school, and now they got a little piece of authority, and they want to wield their authority, want to wield their power. Because they got bullied at some point in their life. And now they're walking around with the guns, and now you know what I mean? But I don't know what really to make of it. I will say the brother had a semi-valid point for how the jury is going to be looking at that. You know, that's going to be their argument to exonerate that piece of filth from those charges, because police officers do have, you know, the right to unalive somebody, and they deem it, there's severity levels of it, engagement of what they deem to be you know, a deadly weapon and a life and death threat. So it's at their discretion, basically. And that's the problem. That's the big problem we're going to have proven, you know, whether, you know, he was or wasn't justified by what the law says. And we got to remember who wrote the law, who, you know, wrote all these put these systemic, you know, rules and regulations in place. Like, we be kind of forgetting sometimes. It wasn't designed for us anyway. When we do catch breaks, the very few times we do catch breaks in the law, it's just that, a lucky break. These laws wasn't designed to accommodate us. They was designed to keep the white man in power. So yeah, said all that to say, like, I guess I'm finna wrap it up. You know, the majority of the hate that he's receiving online isn't really warranted, because he had a valid point about how the police officers are going, or how the jury is going to view it, what they have to view when deliberating. And so, longer story short, if there is innocent, if he is found guilty, the reason why they're going to find him guilty, because they don't want an uprising, they don't want a riot. I know for a fact, if he gets found innocent, it's going to be another uprising. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. It's going to be an uprising if that guy is found innocent. It's going to be George Floyd all over again. But anyway, so wrapping up my point is just like, we got to take emotions out of it. You know, when dealing with situations like this, we got to start, you know, we should be in this time preparing ourselves, preparing our minds, preparing our bodies, having a plan, waking up with purpose. Because, like, moving forward, you know, like I said, no matter who wins, we lose. So it is, no matter how positive you want to keep your mindset, it's all out war. So we should be moving really strategically right now, getting our finances together, getting our bodies together, you know, learning all you can learn, getting you, you know, passive streams of income. Because, like, you know, the powder keg's about to explode, man. The powder keg's about to explode. Like, we don't got time to be getting in our feels. We don't got time to be getting in our feelings. We just got to move real strategically moving forward. That, you know, that sister's unaliving was very tragic. I'm very sad behind it. My heart goes out to her family. But, you know, she's not going to be the last one. There's going to be a whole lot of this from now till the election time. Well, that's all I really got to say about that. Like, yeah, he shouldn't be. He should have more. He should have, in my opinion, he should have more. What's the word I'm looking for? More empathy and more compassion in his voice, and because he kind of seems like he's taking a little delight in it. But other than that, he did, we can't write him totally off from what he said, because it will kind of play out in the courtroom the way he said it. So, it's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be an uphill battle. And the determining factor is going to be collateral damage. So before I bring it to a close, I just want to acknowledge our sister Sonia Macy. Want to acknowledge the Fortson brothers, Andre and Roger Fortson. And even though it wasn't the police that did this, the systemic factor behind it, I want to acknowledge the untimely passing of Devontae Mitchell. And, just closing this weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast, just by saying, be aware of your surroundings when you leave this house, when you leave your house, your residency, wherever you're staying at. Fully aware of your surroundings. Make sure your phone is fully charged. You got a device with an easy to use camera. Tell people where you're going, because it's all the way up. It's up. If you don't know, it is up. It's all the way up. And they are not playing with us out here. But join me again this week for a weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast. I'm planning on 2 more times this week. And then, of course, this weekend for a full edition of the Narrator Podcast. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. The best way to stay up to date with the latest episode of the Narrator Podcast is to follow me on YouTube, Halsey Allen on YouTube. Subscribe button, notification button, all. And then on X. And the reason why you want to follow me on X or YouTube is this platform that I'm on broadcasts automatically to X and YouTube. So yeah, either one of those would be ideal to follow me on. I'm not too proficient on X, but yeah, X and YouTube. And I'm Halsey Allen on X as well. I stay good at Halsey Allen to be exact. And the way you support this platform is to download this episode. It's like a little, when you go to the link, Narrative Podcast link, you will see a little downward arrow pointing down. You click that, and then it'll open up and see everything else. Click that little heart-shaped like button, and then also write me a comment in the comment box. And then click the little 3 buttons to share it to whatever platform you want to share it to. That helps out tremendously. If you don't do any of those, other ones, make sure you're clicking that download button. That one helps the most. Yeah. So please download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator podcast. You probably want to go to X. That's the best way to do it. Is click on the Narrator podcast link on my X account to preview all my uploaded ones. YouTube is it doesn't show you all the options to do it. It doesn't show the download button and the like button, the comment button, but you can see every single last one of my episodes in chronological order on YouTube. And my videos, click my videos, and you'll see every single episode of the Narrator podcast in chronological order. So yeah, that's what YouTube would do. But for download it and share it and like it, you would want to go to X for that. The next thing I want to plug is my book of poetry that I write. I write poetry. I've written a book of poetry. It's titled The Black Card. And what it's about, it's a all-inclusive look at us as a people. Everything we go through as a people, everything we experience, our highs, our lows, all the nuances within our culture about us. You're guaranteed to identify with it if you're an original man or original woman, and it'll resonate with you. People outside of our culture, you guys can definitely enjoy it too. If you consider yourself open-minded and progressive and like learning about different cultures, that's the book for you. Unfortunately, it's only available on one medium, and that's poetizer.com. And if you're unfamiliar with Poetizer, basically it's a community for novice writers, people that's not really at the professional stage in their writing career yet. It caters to all writing genres, specifically poetry. It's in the name, Poetizer, but also people that write short stories, novels, essay writing, even journal writing is encouraged on poetizer.com. And what they have is a feature which will allow the novice writer to turn their work into a book, and that's precisely what I've done, turn my writing into a book. They have a virtual online bookstore for everybody within their community, within that community. So go to poetizer.com, go to the virtual online bookstore, look for my title written by me, Halsey Allen, The Black Card, and go purchase it. Go purchase it today or get your black card revoked. Check it out again. The title again is The Black Card. And the last thing I want to plug before getting out of here is my personal poetry blog on blogger.com. The name of it is called hallziespoetrycorner. The link is www.mrhalziesblogs.com, and what that is a collection of poems that I've spontaneously written. And that's what makes it unique and interesting. The poems featured on that blog are so intricate, so detailed, so intentional. When you read them, you would think that I spent a whole lot of time writing it, but in reality, I just spontaneously wrote them in the moment, on the spur of the moment. I didn't contemplate on the subject matter. I didn't contemplate what I was going to title each piece. They just appeared out of nowhere. That's the best way I can explain it. Another thing you can appreciate about that is for everybody. I got a dozen or so poems on there for just specifically our people, original people that relates to our issues, but on the whole, it's for everybody. Anybody can read one of the poems featured on Halsey's Poetry Corner and identify with them immediately, relate to them. It's relatable poetry. Just anything you can think of. I got a poem that can kind of walk you through the experience. It'll resonate with you. You're guaranteed to find a piece of yourself in a piece of my poetry, or the entire piece. You be like, dang, that's me all day when you read one of them. As a matter of fact, the tagline for my poetry blog is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. And when you read one of my poems, you'll find out, how true that is. I really do have a poem for every occasion you can think of. So the way you can support that is visit the link, which is www.mrhallziesblogs.com on blogger.com, and share either the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. And then, as well as hitting that little heart-shaped like button, and for the love of God, please comment on one of my pieces. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Talk to me, man. Go to Hallzies Poetry Corner. Leave me a comment. Share my poems across all platforms. Well, that's it, and that's all. This episode of the Narrator Podcast is officially a wrap. Join me this weekend for a full episode of the Narrator Podcast. And keep on listening to me for the rest of this week to see, which other couple days that I'm going to do another broadcast of the Narrator Podcast. But, this one's officially a wrap. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Keep on supporting, keep listening, keep sharing. Stay tuned, more to come. We're going to change this false narrative about our people and our culture. Need all you guys to do it. We can do it. We can change the narrative. So, I'm Hallzie Allen, and I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time on my end. And then I need you to help me change the narrative by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end, one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Hallzie Allen, the Narrator Podcast, signing off. And it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Hallzie Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.